Hey guys, what's going on? James here. Like and subscribe if you guys are new, by the way, or returning to this channel. And in this video today, we are going to be going over the top offensive training camp battles for the team's 2025 training camp. It's right around the corner, guys, literally at the end of this month of July. Hope to see a lot of you there at the practices, by the way. And I thought it was important to review, preview, whatever you want to call it, the camp battles that are going to be happening. Guys battling for backup jobs, starting jobs, roster spots, everything is going to be on the line in this upcoming training camp for the Bucs. So today is going to be the offensive camp battles. Tomorrow is going to be the defensive camp battles. So I've got the team's website up right here in terms of the players on the team. Firstly, with center, we don't have to go over anything on the center side of things. It's going to be Graham Barton. Jake Majors is likely going to be your backup. Now, at guard, things get a little bit more interesting, in my opinion. At starter, you have Ben Bredeson, you have Cody Mock. Those are going to be your two starting guards. But then at backup guard, you do have some battles going on there. Elijah Klein, a second-year player out of UTEP. A lot of people are intrigued about his potential as a backup guard, is going to be battling for a backup spot. Sua Opeta is going to be in that mix as well. If you guys remember, last year he was technically battling with Ben Bredeson for that starting left guard job, but he tore his ACL. That knocked him out of the competition. Ben Bredeson won the starting job, ended up signing a big long-term deal, but the Bucs brought Sua Opeta back to compete for a starting job once more. That is going to be an interesting competition there. Now, both those guys can make the roster as a backup. Sua Opeta could say be the backup left guard. Elijah Klein could be the backup right guard. Who is their competition at those backup positions? Well, Ben Scott is there as a backup guard out of Nebraska. He is going to be in that mix. Luke Haggard might be in that mix as well, although he could also possibly be competing at backup tackle. He is 6'7", 305, so he is going to have a little bit of versatility there in that mix. So you've got a few different guys who can do a few different things. Raekwon O'Neal is going to be in that mix as well. I had him on the channel recently. He's a second-year player out of UCLA, also spent some time with the Seattle Seahawks as well. Those are going to be your main guys battling for backup guard spots in terms of competing with the favorites for those two spots right now, which I would say are Sua Opeta as well as Elijah Klein. But going back up here on this list, we are going to continue down now to the offensive line. Well, actually, yeah, with offensive tackle, I should say. So we know the starters are, again, going to be Tristan Wirfs and Luke Gedeke. Okay, but backup tackle is a little bit up in the air. Justin School, he's gone. He's with the Minnesota Vikings right now. He was really that backup swing tackle for the Bucs. I kind of like to think it's a bit of an open competition at backup tackle. Two very interesting guys who I would say are the favorites to be the backup tackles right now are Benjamin Chikwuma, who I also had on the channel, spoke to him. They gave him a lot of guaranteed money on his undrafted contract. I believe it was $300,000, something along those lines. So he's one of the favorites to be a backup tackle this upcoming season. Undrafted player out of Georgia State. Charlie Heck was the veteran brought in to assumably replace Justin School. 6'8", 311 pounds. He has a good amount of experience in this league also, but other guys that are going to be battling for the backup tackle spot are going to include guys like Silas Danzy, who's been with the Buccaneers for a little bit now, on and off. You've also got Garrett Greenfield coming out of South Dakota State, a very good college in their own right. It is going to be interesting to see how these two young men continue to battle. Again, Luke Haggard may also be in that mix as well. I know Raekwon O'Neal is listed as a tackle on here, but he did say he was primarily playing guard. So really, you're going to have Charlie Heck, Benjamin Chikwuma, Garrett Greenfield, and a guy in Silas Danzy. Those four guys are going to be battling for presumably two spots for those backup tackle positions. But let's keep it going here with the battles. Another very interesting battle, in my opinion, is one for backup quarterback. You have Kyle Trask, who has been the backup quarterback for a couple of years now, versus Michael Pratt. The team brought him in last year after he was released by the Green Bay Packers. He was an undrafted player out of Tulane. The Bucs, assumably, or allegedly, I guess I should say, wanted to draft Michael Pratt. Packers got to him first. As soon as he was released from Green Bay, Bucs came in, swooped him up, and now I think you may have a legitimate backup quarterback battle in the wings, because the Bucs did bring back Kyle Trask, which is cool. I think he's the first drafted quarterback in team history to sign a second contract, so kudos to him for that. But it wasn't an expensive deal. In fact, I believe it is just a little bit more than what Michael Pratt is making. So I could very well see this as a legitimate competition. Now, I will say, I think Kyle Trask is the favorite to win this competition, especially whenever you're hearing reports out of mandatory minicamp, voluntary minicamp, that Trask has been looking really good so far, throwing the football and whatnot. So I think right now, Trask could be considered the favorite. Another guy I don't want to discredit is Connor Bazelak. He is a guy who will be competing for a developmental quarterback opportunity, possibly with Michael Pratt as well. Because let's say Kyle Trask does win that backup job. Well, where does that leave Michael Pratt? Well, possibly battling for a developmental quarterback spot with Connor Bazelak, who could be an interesting guy, undrafted player out of Bowling Green. He had a great connection with Harold Fannin. While at Bowling Green, he's already developed a little bit of chemistry with guys like Emeka Ibuka and Tez Johnson as well from their time at the rookie mini camp. So Bazelak and Pratt might also be competing for that developmental quarterback role. Maybe it's on the practice squad, something along those lines. Another position battle I want to talk about is the running back position. Is there a legitimate battle possible between Sean Tucker and Rachaad White for running back 2 responsibilities? A lot of people have been clamoring for, give Sean Tucker more opportunities. He deserves it. He's really good. Please, please give Sean Tucker the football. And, you know, whenever he was getting the football last year in Liam Cohen's offense, he did a lot of good work. Rachaad White is a bit of a jack of all trades type of running back. He's a good run blocker, pass catcher, decent runner as well. I've gone over Rachaad White recently in videos. Rachaad White may be entrenched as that running back 2, fringe running back 1. He's a great complement to what Bucky Irving can do. Bucky Irving is a phenomenal pure runner, but lacks a little bit of juice in terms of pass blocking. Sometimes pass catching. Rachaad White covers for some of those weaknesses. Now, Sean Tucker does some ways as well cover for some of those weaknesses, but is he better than Rachaad White? I don't know. It's going to be an interesting battle to see this upcoming training camp between Sean Tucker, between Rachaad White, who is going to get those first crack at running back 2 snaps. You also got 2 guys possibly battling for a roster spot in DJ Williams and Josh Williams. DJ Williams, he is the nephew of Edgerrin James, by the way. Second-year player out of Arizona. He was on the team last year, on and off. You also have Josh Williams, undrafted running back out of LSU. Those 2 are going to be battling for a roster spot. Again, another interesting battle that I did talk about earlier in this offseason is going to be the battle for tight end 2, Devin Culp versus Payne Durham. Both guys offer interesting, different things. Devin Culp is more of a pure receiving tight end. Payne Durham, he can receive, but he is very valuable for his blocking ability. So both these guys have different things that they're going to offer for the Bucs. Who is going to be the pure tight end 2? I don't know. We're just going to have to see going forward. I know a lot of people like what Devin Culp brings to the team. He had a couple of interesting moments last year, but also Payne Durham did as well, in my opinion. So we'll see how those guys continue on. I don't know what's going to happen with Tanner Tuula and Ko Keefe. Are they battling for a roster spot? I don't know, man. Maybe. Tanner Tuula's got great size at 6'6", 255 pounds. Ko Keefe has been like a blocking guy ever since he was drafted out of Minnesota. He is in the last year of his contract as well, so going to be a bit of an interesting battle to pay attention to. Maybe these guys will be battling for a roster spot at the end of the day, Ko Keefe and Tanner Tuula. Do the Bucs carry 4 tight ends? I don't know, man. I don't know. We're just going to have to pay attention to it. Finally, the last thing I want to talk about here, I'll also shout out Lorenz Metz. I guess he is going to be in that battle for probably offensive tackle, maybe offensive guard. He's 6'9", so the dude is a big, big time offensive lineman. But the last battle we're going to be taking a look at, arguably the biggest battle, the most full battle, maybe is the word to describe it, is the wide receiver position. A lot of battles going on here in this wide receiver room. Now, you know Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are going to be your wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2. First battle happening in this room is going to be the battle for wide receiver 3. Your contenders are Emeka Egbuka, who was the recent first-round draft pick of the Buccaneers out of Ohio State. The first time the Bucs have taken an Ohio State player in the Jason Light era, by the way. Crazy statistic, I know, but Emeka Egbuka is an absolute beast. We all know this, regardless of if people agree or disagree with the pick and the need of the selection. It was made, and Emeka Egbuka is a very good player. He is going to be battling against second-year wide receiver Jalen McMillan, who had a very strong end to last year. He had 8 touchdowns last year, had an incredible 4 or 5 game stretch at the end of the season where he was really starting to cook. These two are going to be battling for wide receiver 3 opportunities. You assume whoever, let's say, loses that battle, of course, with the wide receiver rotation, these guys are both going to be getting a pretty decent amount of snaps, all things considered, but these guys are going to be wide receiver 3. Whoever loses is going to be wide receiver 4. Okay, that's important to note. But then your second battle is going to be who's going to be wide receiver 5. There's a lot of guys in competition for that mix. I want to say that your first guy is probably your favorite in Sterling Shepard. He is the most longest tenured vet on this roster right now. Right behind him is Mike Evans. Right behind him is Chris Godwin. But Sterling Shepard's got the most years in the league. He's got a good chemistry with Baker Mayfield. They have done some really great stuff together, played together at Oklahoma as well. So you would assume that he would be the favorite, but it is important to remember that Ryan Miller was a guy who had some snaps last year and did some interesting things. Trey Palmer has done some interesting things in the past as well. Could rookie Tez Johnson out of Oregon go out there and be the wide receiver 5? Remember last year when a lot of people were high up on a guy like Cameron Johnson? I know people are still intrigued about a Raheem Jarrett. So those are some of the guys who are going to be battling for wide receiver 5, really wide receiver 6 as well, because again, whichever guys don't win that wide receiver 5 battle, let's say it's Sterling Shepard is your wide receiver 5. Well, that means Trey Palmer, Ryan Miller, Tez Johnson, Cameron Johnson, Raheem Jarrett. Let's throw Dennis Houston and Garrett Green in there now as well. Dennis Houston, second-year player out of Western Illinois. Garrett Green, quarterback, converted wide receiver out of WVU. Go Mountaineers, to battle for that 6th wide receiver spot and a roster spot as well. So again, you've got, let's just say this, Sterling Shepard, Trey Palmer, Ryan Miller, Tez Johnson, Cameron Johnson, Raheem Jarrett, Dennis Houston, and Garrett Green. That's 8 guys. 8 guys battling for 2 roster spots, folks. It's pretty crazy in my opinion. So this wide receiver room is probably the most loaded group of position battles that we have going on in this training camp. So you're going to see a lot of different guys do a lot of different things, which is exciting, right? It's good to have a overfill of talent, right? You can never have enough, you can never have too many good players, I guess is the old saying, right? So I'm going to be very, very curious to see how these offensive training camp battles carry on. But what do you guys think? What are some battles that you are going to be paying attention to? Let me know down in the comments section below. Who are some guys that you're going to be rooting for in these training camp battles? Again, let me know down in the comments section below. I would love to hear it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you all enjoyed. And as always, guys, I will see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now. Like and subscribe if you guys are new, by the way, and go Bucs.